You want to open a coffee shop. You've got the dream mapped out. A cozy corner spot, a beautiful espresso machine, a smiling barista, and a line of happy locals waiting to hand you $5 for a latte. On paper, it looks like a goldmine. The milk and beans in that cup cost less than 60 cents, leaving you with a gross margin north of 80%. Mathematically, it sounds like one of the safest businesses you could possibly start. Look at this chart. It tracks the survival rate of independent coffee shops over time. Between 50 and 74% of them close their doors within 5 years. Nearly 40% drop off before they even reach their first birthday. If you walk past a packed cafe on a Tuesday morning, it looks like a small cash factory. But look closer. The person pulling those shots for 10 hours straight is usually the owner. They work 70 hours a week because hiring another hand would wipe out their remaining profit, often leaving them earning less than the minimum wage baristas they employ. So if you are taking in a steady stream of $5 bills on an 80% gross margin, where exactly does all that money go? Let's tear a $5 latte apart, cent by cent. This diagram breaks down the specific costs hiding inside a single cup. We start with the physical materials: the specialty beans, the milk, a splash of syrup, the cup, the lid, and the cardboard sleeve. 90 cents right there. This is your raw cost of goods, and in the grand scheme of the business, it is the part that barely matters. Next is human capital. The barista's wage, payroll taxes, and benefits instantly devour $1.75. 35% of your sale is gone before you've paid for the building. Speaking of the building, your landlord takes 75 cents for occupancy overhead. That covers rent, property taxes, and building maintenance allocated to this specific transaction. Then there is the silent killer, card swipe fees. Every time a customer taps a screen, the payment processor takes 15 cents. Over a year, an independent shop can easily spend over $18,000 on swipe fees alone, more than their entire annual supply of coffee beans. The remaining 80 cents leak out through utilities, software, waste like spilled milk, and income taxes. If absolutely nothing goes wrong, you are left with 65 cents of actual net profit. That 80% gross margin is an illusion, hiding a highly fragile 13% net margin. A 13% margin sounds fixable. In most industries, you solve a low margin by doubling your output. You just sell more drinks. But coffee shops don't scale like other businesses. Profitability depends entirely on capturing a finite 90 to 120-minute window of intense morning demand. To process that tiny, chaotic window without lines spilling out the door, you must buy faster commercial espresso machines costing $30,000 each and overschedule staff. This graph reveals the operational trap. Your expensive machines and extra staff don't vanish when the rush ends at 10 a.m. During peak hours, labor costs $1.50 per drink. By the afternoon slump, with baristas standing in an empty shop, that labor cost spikes to over $4 a drink. In the coffee industry, busy does not equal profitable. The morning rush is a strict time bottleneck, not a scalable revenue stream. If raw volume and scale cannot save a cafe, survival requires changing who walks through the door and what they actually buy. Consider the transit commuter. They buy a $3 coffee and leave in 90 seconds. Over a month of daily visits, they represent a low overall value to the business. Now look at the loyalty regular. They visit just as often, but their lifetime value is more than double for the exact same physical footprint. Regulars drive high-margin pastry sales. A single croissant that costs 55 cents to make can retail for $4.50. That is an 88% gross margin, which easily outperforms the brewed coffee. But the ultimate profit driver happens off the counter entirely. It comes from retail items, specifically bags of roasted coffee beans. This balance scale shows why. Selling a single $16 bag of retail beans costs $9 to produce, yielding $7 of pure profit. It requires 0 seconds of barista labor, making it mathematically equivalent to making, serving, and cleaning up after 4 separate lattes. Successful owners know that selling brewed coffee over a counter is a highly inefficient way to make money. They treat the physical storefront as a stage to build a brand, relying on zero labor retail and high-margin pastries to subsidize the act of brewing coffee. Ultimately, the success or failure of a cafe is mathematically decided long before the first cup of coffee is ever poured. It is decided the day the lease is signed. Commercial landlords structure agreements using triple net leases. This legally shifts of volatile liabilities of building insurance, property taxes, and structural maintenance entirely off the landlord and onto the small business owner. Landlords also insert percentage rent clauses to take a cut of your gross sales once you cross a certain threshold. But worse, these leases demand personal guarantees. If the shop fails, the landlord can legally liquidate your personal life savings. Then there is the physical build-out. Installing specialized plumbing, grease traps, and heavy electrical lines can easily push upfront cost to $400,000. Municipal city inspections drag this process out for months. This creates a cash burn trap. If your lease only offers a short grace period, you will pay full commercial rent on an empty, unfinished construction zone for months before earning a single dollar. In a flawless year, a well-run cafe will net a 15 to 18% margin. But in a normal year, full of broken refrigerators, employee turnover, and quiet fee hikes from payment processors, that net margin shrinks to a bleak 5 to 8%. That $5 latte is actually a contribution toward a high-stakes game of commercial real estate and labor scheduling. The coffee is simply the reason you stood in line.